It's really easy. Problem is, we require our opponent to load.
Establishing field command. Stand by.
But we're loaded now. So, welcome to Iron Harvest Community Tutorial. Combat, I guess. I've just loaded into a multiplayer game. This is a drop zone. You can tell by the little things here and the fact that there are no victory points on the map. There's more nodes though, so more resources. Though admittedly, income is reduced on drop zone, but yeah. Anyway, the first thing you want to do when you're playing a multiplayer game is you want to send all your troops out and capture nodes or resource crates. In this case, I've gone for 2 iron, 1 oil, because iron is more important in the early game in my opinion. But getting some oil is important as well. I've then followed it up by going for these crates, because the crates are a little far away compared to the nodes. So getting the nodes early is important. I should have turned that off if I was going to do a tutorial. Next thing after that for me is to seize the grenade. On every single 1v1 map there is a grenade crate. In this case our opponent hasn't grabbed that. They are a level 3, so we're going to be going pretty chill against them, because otherwise, you know, we'll just ruin their day basically. So once you've captured your nut, you'll be aiming for a 2-2 split, so you'll want 2 iron, 2 oil as soon as possible, and just as many crates as you can pick up. Depending on when your build order becomes more sophisticated, you'll want to aim for certain things first. So for instance, you might go really heavy on oil because you want to get upgrades faster, or you might go really heavy on iron because you're planning to spam a bunch of infantry early. Whatever your plan, you're gonna have a plan eventually. For this one, I'm just going to be following a really basic barracks into total upgrades into reserve. Barracks into reserve 1, into full upgrades into reserve 2. Because our opponent is playing pretty chill, and by chill I mean extremely passive, we're going to play pretty passive too, because we have plenty of oh, he's actually doing something. We're just going to play defensively until we have our reserve 1 and our reserve 2, and then we'll go off and get it. We would go for some early aggression, get in there and steal some nodes, but there's really no point. We have an advantage right now. This is, you know, a bit of a timing in that I have almost definitely have more troops than him on the battlefield, but we won't bother. So they've got stormtroopers. Oh, sorry, we've got stormtroopers. They've got vanguards. So we're going to be trying to use cover against them because they just do more damage than we do. They've got a shorter range, so we can kite them around a little bit. But in general, you know, we will lose to a vanguard unless we have some form of advantage. So it looks like he's not going to retreat here. Yeah, he's not remembering to retreat, so we're just going to kill this squad. Losing squads is a really big no-no. You do not want to be losing squads. Because you'll be down squads, and it allows your opponent to pick it up. If you're playing Saxony, you'll want to pick up weapons with medics because they're faster and cheaper than engineers, and if you're playing every other faction, you'll want to pick up weapons with engineers. Now I'm not planning to be super aggressive, so we're not going to do anything right now. I know it's a bit boring, but it is what it is. So we're going to instead tech into our upgrades. Obviously this isn't the perfect plan to follow. If you were playing this normally, you'd just like pop out a bunch more infantry and just go win the game. But we're gonna, for tutorial purposes, we'll play pretty chill. So the upgrades are pretty simple. You have an iron mine and you have a oil pump. These are your 2 resources that you can spend. Pop caps are a bit different. They cost 20 iron and 60 oil to upgrade an iron mine. This will double the income. It says 3, but it's 4. It's 3 because we're playing on, what's this mode called again? Drop zone. And oil pumps are 250 and 10. So they go from 1 income per tick, to 3 income per tick. So it's worth getting the upgrades. Obviously not too fast and not too slow either. If your opponent has an upgrade and you're not doing something early, and you can see your resources being a bit unbalanced, then it's time to get an upgrade. Simple as. That's basically all you need to know for that. Reserve 1 I mentioned earlier because it is what it is. I won't be discussing what to put in your reserves in this video. I might do that in like 20 minutes when I do the next one. But for now, you don't do anything. We'll just be running with a full R1 and a full R2. So to summon an R1, you'll build a barracks or a workshop. I did a barracks this time because I was going for a basic build. And then you just click it here. 30 seconds later, it'll pop out. Reserves are a reduced cost compared to the building the unit traditionally. It can both skip tech requirements and it is cheaper, except for certain units like flamethrowers, but hopefully that gets changed. Now, the way to get your Reserve 2, which is where your mechs and your mechanized heroes will be, is by either upgrading your barracks, which I could do here, or by building a workshop. Do not have the resources for. I do now. The requirements for Reserve 2 is one building of each, or one upgraded structure. So I could technically have built a workshop, built my R1, upgraded my workshop, and built my R2, but that is an extremely expensive way to do it. Upgrading a workshop is uber expensive. Now, in your barracks, which generally will be your first structure, you'll find your engineers. They will train faster than they will build from your HQ. Note that I'm cycling through my buildings with the F1, F2, F3 keys. I do not know what the equivalent is on a console, sorry. But yeah, you can build your engineers here. This is going to be your first building, so you'll build engineers from here to keep up. Next, you will build your... Hello, Cryo. You'll get your barracks, which has your engineers, your core infantry, your grenadiers, which are core infantry with a grenade. They're slightly slower, but they do have a grenade. They also cost a little more reinforced. Oh, here we go again. Here we have medics, which are a Saxony special. You'll only find this in the Saxony and Usonian barracks. Next, you have the field cannon, which is only good against mechs. Do not use this against infantry beyond very niche situations. And it gets better the higher the armor type. On some maps there will already be weapon systems like the field cannon here. Other maps will have mortars or what's the other weapon called? The heavy machine gun. Almost always worth getting them. Crew them with an engineer or a medic. Do not waste a combat troop on it unless it's a desperate situation. Either way, we have a bit of a fight going on. Oh my god, what is this? Well, this is happening. I promise you I didn't arrange this. Either way, we're gonna just use cover. We're gonna try and get it encircled, get some good hits down. You can see my unit just vetted. So that means its XP, which you can see there, I don't know why I'm pointing at it, reached the next level. It means its health and its damage increased. It's long story short, that they then gain access to their battle cry ability, which means they do more damage. Or they fire faster, which means more damage. The opponent here neglected to use both cover and the retreat mechanic, so they got absolutely annihilated by arguably inferior troops. So eventually this guy will go down, bam, and we're going to hit retreat on all our troops because we want to go heal. Yeah, so retreating makes your units immediately go home. It doesn't give them any sort of speed buffs, but it does reduce the damage they take by 50%. So smacking the retreat button on practically any unit when it's getting close to dying is a good idea. Next, when they get home, you can reinforce them. Using R as the hotkey, or you can click it, whatever. It is always cheaper to heal a squad than it is to build a new one. So losing squads like that is a terrible idea. Do not do it. You always want to retreat out of situations like that. Go home, heal up. It costs nothing to heal a model, but it costs resources to replace models. You can see here we've lost 4 models. We have 4 models. We've lost 1. Thanks, Grenadier. You'll smack R, lose 30 iron. Whammo blammo. We got new stuff. Are you gonna try and burn my oil pump? Yeah. The second thing that we did that they didn't was we used cover. So we took a lot less damage because simply put, we were in cover, and our cover is good. Cover greatly reduces the damage you take up to about, I would say, about 50%. You will almost always be able to win a 2v1 in cover, assuming other factors aren't in place. We're just gonna shoot down this skybike. I never got the skybikes in the barracks, but skybikes are only good against other air units. Against ground units, yeah, literally anything will kill them. As you can see, he's trying to decap our big oil pump. We're going to move our squad into cover here and start shooting him. Oh. And well, stop him from capping. Our opening's deployed, it's going to start firing on that. And Wilhelm, who is our mech hero, is going to go take care of the Ognivo. The Ognivo is a anti-infantry mech really only. It's got medium armor, so it's really hard to kill with infantry. Unless you have specialized anti-mech infantry. But yeah, Wilhelm's going to have no problem, because he's heavy armor, he's taking practically no damage from this, he's literally just getting XP. Nice. Now, we've got our R1, we've got our R2, our squads are mostly full health, we're going to go win this game. So you can issue orders either from on the screen or via the little menu in the bottom. Oh, he's built sandbags. Lots of sandbags. I wouldn't advise doing this. It's just fun. Sandbags are okay in certain positions, but fortifying your base at the start of the game is a waste of time. You shouldn't do it. It was a narrate. And an anti-air turret. Right. Now, this is exactly why I made this guide, is because this is not a good idea. He's gone workshop first, he's built an anti-air turret. Anti-air turrets are extremely expensive. They can only be built in your base, have limited usefulness because they only attack air units, though they do a very good job against air. So if your enemy is spamming air units, it may be worth throwing down an anti-air turret. But 99% of the time it won't. Better off just building a skybike. It's like half the price and move. Either way, Narcos goes down, Wilhelm's just going to keep strutting forward. We've captured nodes. There's two types of things to do with nodes. So capturing fully like this, and then decapping. I've already captured, so I can't say it, but basically when the node enters the grey area, it means that no one owns it, so it's neutral. Once it hits that, plus, no one owns it. If it's the enemies, if it's like this node, you can just leave. You've already done damage to your opponent. If you manage to fully capture it, you get resources, and it takes longer for them to capture it. So win-win. As you can see, Wilhelm's leveling up. The difference between heroes and regular units is that they can vet 4 times as opposed to just 2 times. So getting them out early, if possible, is really good, and getting them vetting because the heroes, they're really powerful, they get a ton of XP, they get a ton of damage, they get a ton of useful abilities. One of the useful abilities, at least for Wilhelm, is the rocket barrage? Missile salvo. Ooh, fancy. Unfortunately, he's kind of dodged that because he moved. We got a half fire on that. Then we got the volley. Pretty good. Unfortunately, it looks like I missed that a tad. Fortunately, we're not exactly fighting Wilhelm's preferred target, judging from his accuracy. But yeah, that's really the basics, and I'm going to run through them again now. There won't be any fancy pop-ups on the screen because I'm a really lazy editor. So your game starts, you run all your squads out to capture nodes. Whatever order it is, just make sure you're capturing nodes or resource crates. Then you'll want to build your engineer with your first 150 iron, which is in the top left here. You'll want to capture, so you got a barracks. You must have a barracks if those guys are popping in a different spot. Yeah, there it is. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. Engineers with your first 150 iron. Get them going out to capture stuff. Your first engineer should be picking up the grenade or any other important weapon on the map. For example, there might be a gunner crate, which is anti-armor gunners, which are these. Or there might be a flamethrower crate, which if you want to use that, go for it. And there might be, something important. And if you choose to get it before your grenadiers, just make sure you build another engineer and you send your second engineer to capture that grenade. Because being one combat squad down in the early game is just going to mean your opponent can run over you. I'm going to move away from this, even though it's very exciting watching things get blown up. Because you can't hear anything. Guessing that's another engineer squad? Yep. Yeah. While we're here, there are also these wrecks. When mechs are destroyed, they leave these wrecks. You can capture them for resources. Good for doing when you're in the heat of battle, but obviously this game is a bit of a foregone conclusion. But yeah. Sorry, where was I? Right, capture things, build a building, either a barracks or a workshop, build your reserve 1, build the other building. So if you built a barracks, build a workshop, get your reserve 2, win. Whenever you get your upgrades in there is up to you. I chose to do it between the barracks and the workshop because I wanted to slow down my reserve 2 but make it hit way harder. But you can do whatever you want. Hell, some people get it before their reserve, before they even get their barracks down. Those are for very specialized builds, obviously, so don't just go willy-nilly upgrading things. And yeah, that's the barracks exploding. So, fun fact, you can double tap F4 to select all your units in the game. Pretty useless because you generally want your units to be separated. And yeah, here we are with our reserve 1, our reserve 2, and blowing up their HQ. Like we said, thank you, Willow. As I said in the last video, destroy HQ is a win condition. We've just destroyed all enemy HQs or headquarters, so we win. I'm going to go through the stats at the end. No, please don't feel any sort of ill will or need to be rude to this player. They're clearly very new. And this is exactly what this guide's for. And if we want a community to grow, we don't want to be mocking new players. So, here's your stats. You got combat, production, and resources. He had much less resources than me because he didn't upgrade his nodes, and he had less nodes for most of the game. He had a much higher production score because he built more. Generally, if this score is higher than yours, and you won, it means you were just winning by a lot. You were killing a lot of their units, and they weren't. And they were producing a lot. Obviously, I could have built way more units, I just chose not to because I didn't see a point. Combat, if this score is below 500, it means they took a negative, they were going negative basically, so they lost more units than they killed. And if this is positive, above 500, it means they went positive. So I'll demonstrate that really quickly. So he did 2,000 damage in total and lost 15 units and killed none. So his score went way below 500. I killed 15 units, I did 11,000 damage, and lost none, so my score went up. Don't know why I started here, and then went up, as if people could see that. Battles 1 is a magic stat, and no one knows what it actually means. Production, obviously this is how many units produced. This does take into account the reserves. So that's an engineer I built, that's my R1 and my R2, so 5 units in total. Obviously you'd build more if you were being competitive, but that game wasn't exactly competitive. Structures built, he built the anti-air gun and his 2 buildings, so 3 buildings, I built my 2 buildings. Soldiers reinforced, clearly he wasn't using that. But that's when you retreat and click reinforce, that's how many models get replaced, and this is how much health gets replaced. So not necessarily how many models, but how much gets healed in those squads. So you want this number to be high, and this number to be low. Doesn't really matter if you win the game, but you know. Finally, resources are pretty obvious. Crates, which you didn't collect any of. Those were the caches I was capturing near the game, early game. This is how much iron in total I collected and how much oil I collected. Finally, we get to go to honors. Killer is what unit killed how many, killed the most, and how many they killed. Survivor is which unit was alive the longest. Core type is what unit did the most damage. And beloved one is what you built the most of. It's not always correct, but it's generally correct in a normal game. Arguably, it's kind of confused for the Earl because I built one of many things. I think it just defaulted to the most expensive unit. And so yeah, that's your victory screen. So if you're looking at how to get started in a game and you're brand new, just watch the first 5 minutes of this video and don't listen to me. Just watch me play, and that's generally a good start. Anything beyond that, you're probably either trying too much, doing too little, or something went wrong. Obviously there's really weird starts to games, but this was a pretty normal game as far as things are concerned. So thank you. That's a very basic combat tutorial. I might do more advanced stuff in other times, but I would advise you just go watch Twitch streams and ask questions, or watch YouTube videos and ask questions. Links all down below. And finally there is the Discord. So go to the Discord, ask questions, get involved in games. The end. Thank you. Bye.